So I asked this question a couple of weeks ago, and I think we had Shalice Young on the show that day. I asked the question, I said, how does the NFL solve its unsolvable black coach problem? Because there are fellowships and programs and people doing the work to make coaching candidates not only more attractive, but connect them with upper management that remains predominantly white. Obviously, we know there are no black owners. There's one owner of color, Shad Khan, but no black owners.
NFL won't solve it.
Even the black
NFL
GM.
won't solve it.
That's where I'm going. That's what I'm getting to. That's where I'm going. And even those black GMs, not to say that, they got to be the plug, but in Chicago they hired another white coach, even though they just hired a black GM. So more black GMs is the answer. We can't assume that more black owners is the answer, and not to mention how many black owners are we going to get? Which brings us to today. So here's the answer to my question weeks ago. You and I have been having this conversation for decades. I've been writing about this since my career started 20 years ago. Writing about the Rooney Rule, writing about the flaws in the system, writing about the double standards. You and I lost our minds when Brian Flores got fired. You and I went in on the Texans when David Culley got fired. It's been the same shit, different toilet, same song, different verse for years.
That's why I asked you what happened to him. That's what I asked you.
This is the answer to my question. Well, they're not employed. The answer is they're not employed. I mean, it's obvious.
This is, and I want you to continue because you got it going. But I just wanted to point out just the math when you said the hiring cycle, out of 27 cycles. Is it 3? All right.
Yes, so 3 black coaches hired.
3. So Brian Flores, who was fired after his team won 8 of 9 games. David Culley, who was fired after 1 year. Who's the other one? Steve Wilkes? Who's the other one?
Last 3 hiring cycles would not be Steve Wilkes.
Okay, all right.
It's escaping me at the moment. He obviously had a cup of coffee.
But that tells the story. Doesn't that tell the story? It tells the story. You got one guy, the team is on the rise, and they get rid of him because, hey, he didn't get along with the general manager. Or, there were some things with the culture. It's always it's vague. One guy is brought into he takes a terrible job, does the best job you can in that situation, and is out after a year, and we'll figure out who the third guy is. But I just wanted to point out that, even those 3 who were hired, they got a raw deal. But go ahead.
Give me a second. Point being, this is the only thing that's going to get their attention. And here's a statement from Brian Flores. God has gifted me with a special talent to coach the game of football, but the need for change is bigger than my personal goals. And making the decision to file the class action complaint, I understand that I may be risking the game that I love. You're stumping me. I wonder if it's Anthony Lynn. It might be Anthony Lynn. That was the last 3 that I referenced. I saw the number, but I apologize. I got a lot going through my head right now. But point being,
no. Hey, listen. Yeah, I got you. No.
This is the answer to my question. This is the point I was trying to make. This is the answer to my question of how to solve the unsolvable problem. It is mess with their money. It is somebody has to sacrifice in order to. Somebody's got to be the first one through. Somebody's got to get their attention in the only way that they respond to, which is messing with their bottom line, messing with their antitrust exemption. I don't know, but this is what it's going to take. Not just what's the old saying? You can't dismantle a master's house using the master's tools.
Right.
This system isn't going to change through panel discussions and columns and people like me and you calling attention to it every opportunity we get. It's just, this was necessary. And again, bravo to Brian Flores. Bravo to Brian Flores for realizing, like, hey, I'm not going to sit by and let this injustice go unnoticed. I'm sure we'll.
It's just so frustrating, though. I want to add this to it. It's so frustrating when it's this obvious. So I already told you about, we already talked about Brian Flores, and we talked a lot about David Culley.
It might be Steve Wilkes. Now I'm trying to make sure I get the facts right. I'm sorry, I'm in fact check mode.
It
might be Steve Wilkes.
Because Wilkes was 18. It was one and done. It was in 2018. That's it.
And this is Kingsbury's third year that he just finished. Okay.
Three and 13.
Yeah.
3 and 13, done. 1 year.
Yeah.
So we have 2 one and dones. Okay, so out of the 3 black coaches in these cycles, 2 of them were one and done.
Yeah.
Okay. And in both cases, especially in one, the organization, in the Cardinals case, the organization admitted, hey, we didn't get it right. So he's a first-year head coach with Josh Rosen at quarterback. So they made a mistake. They drafted Josh Rosen. They figured out, we shouldn't have drafted Josh Rosen. They get the number 1 pick in the draft, and they take the unbelievable step 2 years in a row of drafting a quarterback in the top 10. So he's one and done. Culley's one and done. Brian Flores, team on the rise, gets fired. But, Mike, I was thinking about this earlier this week, and what's so frustrating about it is that the NFL, when they're talking about players, they say it's a meritocracy. They say, hey, it's just a meritocracy. The best people get the jobs, and look, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. You've heard all the cliches about players and what they talk about on film. You put it on film, and it's clear as day. But, put this on film. Put it on film that I asked you last week when Nathaniel Hackett was hired as a head coach of the Broncos. I said, was he the play caller in Green Bay? No, he wasn't. But he gets a head coaching job. He was not the play caller. And he gets the head coaching job in Denver. And then a quarterback's coach becomes, the same organization, right? The quarterback's coach with the Packers is the offensive coordinator of the Bears. Did I get that right? Right? So he ain't the play caller either. So he gets a promotion just being associated with Aaron Rodgers. Let's call it what it is, being associated, and no coaching record, they get a head coaching job. Whereas Eric Bieniemy is a play caller, is the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Marvin Lewis is sitting home right now.
It's
David Caldwell is
unreal.
sitting home right now. Byron Leftwich hasn't been hired. Bieniemy hasn't
Jim
been hired.
Caldwell.
The double standards
Raheem Morris
have been well documented. And the thing we talked about, and we got to go to break because we got some company standing by. The thing we talked about before, as we watch this cycle has been the longest coaching cycle, one of the longer coaching cycles in recent memory. But we were reminded that all of these interviews, you get excited about these interviews, but they had to do it. They were being mandated to have this diverse candidate pool. And worse than being mandated is being rewarded when somebody gets hired because you developed them in your organization. It's been a sham for the longest time, playing nice, asking,
you can't.
Requesting.
You can't.
Hasn't been working. One more thing before we go to break. This is the same law firm that represented Harvey Weinstein's victims and former Fox News employees in their discrimination cases. I'll go to break just reading a little bit more from a joint statement from Flores' co-counsel. On the first day of Black History Month, it is our great privilege to represent Brian Flores and his class action complaint against the NFL. This case seeks to level the playing field in the hope that future owners and coaches will be representative of the athletes who are playing this great game, 70% African American. We fully expect coaches and players of all races to support Brian as he embarks on his journey to create positive change.
And Mike,
certainly got our support. We'll be back.
As we go to break, we say this on the way to break. The Giants have never had an African American head coach. After all the coaches they've been through lately, you might want to give it a try. It might actually work out for you. Why not? They never had one in their history. Isn't that hard to believe? Never. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.